Welcome to the Daily Dance with your host, Brad Richardson.
Okay, hey, welcome to the Daily Dance. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm checking camera angles. Anyone who watches normally, we're winging things here, but I think everything's good enough, so we'll go with that. Welcome to the Daily Dance. I'm excited today for our first interview, and I really hope the interview comes through because I'll have no way to check the audio until this is done, by the way. So, we could sit here and just do our regular coffee bit, and that's all it will be. But hey, it'll be a learning experience. Excited to have my friend Ken Adams I was going to say, should I be real professional and say in the studio?
Sure.
In the studio.
Yeah.
In the office today. Ken and I have worked together for a couple years at a previous stop, and have taken up our regular coffee habit on Fridays. And so I thought it was appropriate as a beginning, as a start for the interviews, to have Ken over, and we can essentially, you're going to be seeing our Friday get-togethers on camera. And maybe nothing more than that, but I've found the conversations to be interesting enough that hopefully it'll warrant people actually wanting to watch. So welcome.
Thank you.
Before we get going, I thought, I didn't know whether I should do this or not, but it is the Daily Dance. I'm not going to make you dance.
I'm not going to dance.
I'm not going to make you dance. but we dance, and this is a reminder to everybody, that anyone watching, do your dance. You can do your little chair dance if you need to. Just, you can groove right where you are, but the rule is you do your dance daily to get you in a right headspace and get everything moving. So I'm going to have to get up and start that. When the music starts, do your dance. There we go. You can press, Ken? Is that?
Hey.
Yeah.
It's your deal.
It's my deal. It works. My wife, we started doing that here in the house, and now she'll remind me. It's like if I don't do it in the morning, and, if I'm down, if she can tell I'm stressed, whatever, she's like, have you done your dance? Yeah. And so now I'm stuck with it. She's like, but it works for you. I'm like, I know it does.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. You got to have that thing to get you going in the morning. So.
And then coffee.
Yeah.
Which I should mention, Griffin Creek. I don't know if Dave the Roaster down there, who's someone else that I worked with in the past, who I love, and love his coffee. I don't know if he'd want to be associated with what we're doing here. But Dave, you're fueling. You have been constantly fueling business, and at the place where we worked as well.
Yeah.
That was he ended up supplying the beans for the whole company there for a while. That was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I got my kid moved. She's launching her, finally getting going on her profession. And so last week was a little rough, but just a lot of driving.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm doing good.
So you handle logistics and you get to play counselor.
Yeah. It's like nightly conversations. It's like, what do I do about this? What do I do about that?
Yeah.
It's like, so... it's like you think as parents that you've done everything you can to equip your kids to launch into the world. And then when they actually launch, you realize, oh, crud, what did I forget?
It's a whole list of things.
So that's been, it's been encouraging for me just as I move into that phase of being an empty nester.
Yeah.
So it's just the wife and I and our cat.
Yes.
But it's not even our cat. It's my son's cat. He just said, I don't have time for the cat. Just, it's yours now.
So now it's yours.
Okay.
Well, that happens with pets all the time. The kids' pets end up being yours.
Yeah. So, but yeah, been going pretty good.
Okay.
So,
Well, hey, maybe give everybody just a quick flyover, because a lot of what we end up talking about and what I've geared the podcasts toward are essentially doing business
Mhm.
better, right? And we
Yeah.
talk about that a lot, and I know you have a passion for that as well. So maybe just a high flyover of career in the way that your career has led you to being at that place as well.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so right out of high school, I found myself managing a machine shop. So here's,
Yeah, at like 18, 19.
18, 19-year-old kid managing a machine shop, doing, production stuff and navigating with, owners and management about how stuff should be done. And, just kind of learning from that. From there, uh, I tried going to school. Thought I was going to be an art teacher of all things, which is kind of ironic from what I've done in my life. And then quickly realized that I needed to make money, and my dad called. He was an electrician, needed help desperately, and from there I put school on pause and moved right into the trades, and um, still currently hold a journeyman's license for being an electrician in the state of Oregon. And from that, I've moved into positions of management, project management over the years, doing various projects. Moved into operations management, and I finally went back to school. And at that point, had a better idea what I wanted to do. Ended up with a business degree, helped me be a better project manager and help guide companies as they were in transitions. That's kind of where I've found myself lately, as I get brought into a company that's in transition, whether it's an ownership change or they're making a big growth push. Um, and so then I just come in and kind of, come alongside them, help them, steer the ship, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's kind of turned into my passion. I actually get a lot of joy out of seeing, you know, helping people achieve their dream of their business growing.
Mm.
So
Okay, so coming in and serving the owners,
yeah,
and not just because actually a lot of what we talk about is leading teams.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so it's both ways. It's
Yeah.
you're helping, you want to help the owners, but you're also developing the people.
Right,
underneath you.
because honestly, I find that a lot of times, I'll come into a place and the owners are struggling and frustrated because they're like, I have nobody to lead. And it's like, well, you've got 40 people under you.
Mhm.
There's a leader in there somewhere. We just have to find them.
Yeah.
And so that's part of what I do is I help find that person and then equip them and raise them up and get them pointed in the right direction.
That's nice.
So,
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing, and that's a lot of times though. I think those people don't realize they have that in them.
yeah.
Either, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always, I always go back to, when they say I don't have any leaders in this group, and I'm like, who's the guy pushing the broom? Because he probably has more work ethic than anybody else in here,
Mhm.
And the place where you and I worked, we had an apprentice that would come in at the end of the day, and he literally would push the broom in the warehouse. And I had so much respect for that young man, and he's, moved forward. And I think he started his own business now, and
Nice.
so it's, for me, it's like I like to encourage those types of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, that's a win, and right, and then and yeah, that keeps on. Yeah, you get to track him now.
Yeah.
And you see what goes on long after whatever money you made from that.
Yeah.
Goes away. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. That's very, very cool. Well, I want to bring up. I have to bring up
mm-hmm.
before we go too far down the road, because it's in the news today. It just because we've been in the solar space. You're familiar with solar business, so you know what I'm going to say.
Another big one falls.
Freedom Forever,
Yeah.
Announcing it's going through bankruptcy now, may merge, from that's restructure, but and not a lot of info is known about that yet. I've just seen the flood of people announcing that they're looking for work. So
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on that and the industry in general right now?
I think residential solar is a tough space to be in right now. As we continue to see more and more of the big ones fall.
Yeah.
Um, when I read the announcement yesterday, I did a quick search, and it's over 100 big solar companies, including the one that we worked for,
Yeah.
have filed bankruptcy. Freedom Forever filed Chapter 11, so they have a chance to restructure and maybe emerge from that. As opposed to, companies, there's been a few that have just filed Chapter 7.
Just liquidated.
Completely liquidated and moved on.
Yep.
And I'm reminded, as I said when we came in, I was reminded of that this morning as I got a notification of another liquidation auction going on, and it was like, good grief.
Yes.
And it's a little bit of a sting because of how much effort you and I put into that company to try and, make it grow and be, a viable organization to, feed a lot of families.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest, disappointment is just how many families are being affected by this, and whether it was from the economy or poor management or both.
Right.
Well,
I think it was I don't know what the proper term would be, but an immature space. I mean, it was, even though it'd been around a while, and I've worked for a couple solar companies now. Just there was a lot of growth to be had in the business learning end of things. I think, and it was easier when all of the government credits and everything were available, and that covered a lot of sins. It covered a lot of shortfalls, and I think, and everyone knew it. I've heard other leadership in solar say that everyone kind of knew it was coming, and yet still, when it happened, and you see the number of companies that didn't have enough of a foundation to weather that, right? It's a little discouraging.
Yeah. It was like this morning early. When I got up, I was thinking about it. It's like, I was part of this big cash grab machine, and I don't want to associate myself with that, but unfortunately, it's part of my work history and what I've gone through, and it helped. Those experiences have helped me, see business a little different now. There are still solar companies out there that are going to survive because they were pre the incentive model, and they've just shifted back. I mean, I think the one here locally that was in existence long before some of these other companies came into our area, and they downsized,
right?
But I expect they'll just shift back to business as usual pre incentives.
Yeah, because there's still a market there.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, those companies that are going to survive are going to figure out how to pivot into commercial and industrial space.
Right.
It's whether or not they can do it fast enough.
I wonder how many. I was thinking at yesterday and today. I was looking at. I've had a bunch of Steve Jobs stuff and videos coming across my desk again, and he and other leaders that have always talked about having to be passionate about what, if you're going to start a business, you need to be passionate about what you're doing.
Sure.
Because it's so hard. It is hard. And I think that's the other thing that I have to remind myself of. It's easy to go, all these businesses going out. Business is hard. And starting a business, we know the vast majority fail regardless of industry.
Right.
I mean, it's not easy. But I'm wondering how many of the ones that you're talking about that are going to survive, they're kind of like the true believers, right? I mean, a lot of them started their solar businesses because they had some conviction about the benefits of solar.
Yes.
As opposed to just looking to make money with it.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. No, I think that's very fair. Their vision for what it was they were creating is very different. Yeah. I just, and that's why I say the cash grab.
Yeah. Yeah. But that makes me think too, broadening that whole discussion, and this could go out and talk about almost everything in society, and so I don't want to do that. I do try to stay away from politics out here, because business is like in how we've talked before. Business is one of the few places where hopefully you get to know people from different backgrounds, right? And that you wouldn't associate with otherwise, and that's a healthy thing. But there is so much that goes on behind the scenes: the financial companies, the funding, all this stuff. How do you, and you see the strings, you get discouraged when you start to understand the games that are being played, and that oftentimes we're just pawns in those games. So how do you approach that now? How can we attack that of not, because I still wrestle. I know some of the answers in my mind, but I still do wrestle. Like, okay, how do I proceed now that I know everything I know?
Right. And
there's probably still loads I don't. How do I proceed and still pour myself into whatever work I'm going to do?
Wow, that's a good question.
And just talking, because we've talked before, and there may not be answers for us today. But
I know. You and I have discussed venture capitalists quite a bit, and I know as I'm looking for the next project, I tend to steer away from those types of organizations. And it's purely because of the focus of the company. They're more about just extracting their percentage. I tend to gravitate more towards the guy who had been doing something, like, I've been making coffee, or working in a coffee shop. I can start doing this myself. Those are the kinds of people that I gravitate towards, because they have more skin in the game, if you will.
Yeah.
They're more passionate. They're more conscientious about where the money's going and how much money's coming in.
It's more personal.
Right. And they tend to be genuinely more focused on making the business grow, which then translates to supporting families.
Yeah.
Venture capitalism to me is just a really dirty word these days.
It is, and we've agreed on that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think about that too, because I do have someone who I respect that has operated in that space, and it assures me there is a way to do it in a good way. And I've seen some of that. I've benefited. I have benefited from businesses that had VC funding during down economic times that allowed me to have a job, right? So I do want to balance it some. But there definitely, I think we agree, there needs to be some reform there. And to me, it's that whole thing. You have to get your funding from somewhere.
True.
But I think part of the problem of what it's turned into is where it's not building something that's going to last. It's just something that's going to be used and discarded, and that comes with a lot of collateral damage.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? Because if they came in, they fixed it up, and they ran it, even if they sold it.
Right.
But it really genuinely was improved, and then that would be venture capital working well, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Just seems too rare.
Yeah, because it seems that everybody's just about, like I said, taking their percentage, and they don't care what the cost is.
Yeah.
So, funding is, my small business, I get approached weekly about, we have money to give you. And it's like, I appreciate it, but no.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's how they make their money.
So I've been, and I know part of that is, just what we saw happen at the last place that we were at. And it makes me super gun shy to just pull the trigger on any of that, because I know, bottom line, they're looking for their percentage, and it's like, but I want to grow this the right way.
It's funny. I don't think most of us, we don't grow up thinking of financing as a product. Credit cards, the loans, the mortgages, we don't have that in our head.
Yeah.
That it's a product that we're being sold somehow. And it's funny because, looking at mortgages and go in, and it was amazing to me what they would approve me for.
Right.
When I know how to pencil it out and go, no, I'm not going to be paying that per month. That's not wise at all, but they're happy to give it to you. It's amazing.
Yeah. I remember when my wife and I bought our first house, they flat out told us, do you want extra? Do you want to go on vacation? Do you want to buy a new car? And I'm like, no, I just want to pay for a house.
I like a place to live. Let's start there.
Yeah. And then when you go into refinance, as the interest rate changes, same speech.
Yes.
Do you want extra to go on vacation? It's like, no, I just want to refinance the balance I owe.
Yes.
Because for me, I'm kind of debt adverse. I'd rather pay off any debt I have as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
Because then it gives me the freedom that if, my financial status changes, like I become unemployed, my business has a huge downturn, I'm better prepared to make those adjustments. When you're saddled with a tremendous amount of debt, it's all of a sudden now you hit panic mode.
Yes.
And you'll take any job and you'll find yourself in those situations where you're like, why did I take this job? It's sucking my will to live.
Yes.
Why am I here?
Indentured servant at that point.
Yeah.
There was a Charlie Munger quote that goes around, who, Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah.
And he talks about how his whole goal was just independence, and he overshot. He wasn't looking to be rich. He was just looking to have that independence. And man, just staying out of debt is a long way toward just maintaining your independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gives you so much freedom.
Yeah.
The moment I did the un-American thing and paid off my house, all of a sudden,
you're not patriotic.
all of a sudden I now had the freedom to, buy a new car instead of driving something that was 10 years old, which my wife and I had always done. We'd always had older cars,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was that freedom of like, oh, I have some flexibility now. I can buy a new car. So then I buy a new car. And
They tried to get you to finance that, didn't they?
Yeah, and we did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But we paid it off in a year.
Okay. There you go.
And then when COVID hit, interest rates plummeted. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, let's get you a new car. So the first time in my entire life, I have two newer cars. I still have a 1988 Jeep that, is an absolute money pit. But it's that reliability now that it's like I have two vehicles that I don't have to constantly be worrying about breaking down. And so that gives me a little freedom.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It just, it's like I ended up putting solar on my house because of where we were at. And I paid that off here last month, and it was like, okay, now I have that freedom again.
Yes.
To where, all of a sudden it's like, well, if I don't have enough revenue coming in to meet my bills, it's like, it's not a big deal because now my monthly needs are much smaller.
Yes.
So.
No, very wise.
Yeah.
Very smart. Yeah, no, I've never had a car payment.
No.
And I know a lot of people can say, well, that's so hard to do. That's impossible to do when you're not making a lot. You need to finance that sort of thing. We were poor, man. We were, but the way I made it was avoiding that.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a scrap to get something that's good enough that isn't going to die on you, that you can pay cash for.
Yeah.
But I think it saved us through many, many tight seasons.
But no, and I so both of my cars that I purchased, I did finance, but it was, you get the 5 or 6 year loan, and then I'm on a mission to pay it off in a year or less.
Right.
And it's
and that's different.
Yeah.
Which is good to do with your mortgage too.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah.
Well, and it was also, so to make it even worse. So we had the money in the bank to just write the check.
Mm.
But when the interest rates were, like on my wife's car, it was 9. It's like you do the math real quick and you realize if I carry this to term, that's cheap money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and that's part of that, the business background as you start thinking about it, it's like, when you say cheap money, you're still paying interest, but you have a different focus of.
Well, sure. Yeah. For sure. And different seasons, if your money's making money for you already.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to,
Yeah.
There's different calls to make.
Yeah. Cause it's like yeah, if the money in the bank to pay off the car is pulling more interest than 0.9%, then
Yes.
we make the payments.
Yes. But
So,
to that point, because people listening and maybe at the beginning of their careers and all that,
yeah.
but you were holding aside. You knew you had the money to pay it off. You could have paid it off if you wanted.
Yeah.
And then to me, that's a big differentiator there.
Oh, true. Yeah, no, when I was in my 20s, I had to carry a car loan.
Yeah.
There was no way. Though I was single and making pretty good money at the time, it was like, yeah, no, I've got to have a car loan to just survive. Because, yeah, when all of a sudden, say you have a $5,000 nest egg for your emergencies and you send it all to the car guy,
Yeah.
now you have no nest egg. And what happens if your new to you car, because like I said, I've always purchased old stuff, breaks down.
Correct.
And I
Yeah.
have
Well,
nothing
that's
to fix it.
right, and that's something I had to learn the hard way. To your point, like I said, I'd never bought a new car, but yes, I did run into those situations, and you had to learn that really you always had to have a car payment, right, of sorts.
Yeah.
You're always setting aside the money for the
paying
car.
yourself.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's kind of the Dave Ramsey method. Is like, once you have removed your debt, you're now still paying that amount into an account to save.
You're preparing for the next.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is a good feeling when you get there too. When you finally achieve that, and then you go, it's time to buy, and you're like, oh, look at that! I've got money for that.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But back on everything in the business world and everything going on in the world. Another thing that I thought about when I was thinking about us talking, a lot of things we focus on. Again, and I'm not going to talk politics, guys, but business and politics, there's so much overlap anymore. And it's just, you see so many people that want to get you into binary thinking about things. That is, they want you to be all for this or all for that, when the truth is often more nuanced. And with the stuff we've dealt with in business, when you're trying to find good solutions in business, do you think that's part of the issue that you run into when you're going in, you go, okay, we can do things better. I don't want to do things just for money. I don't want us to be reactive. The reasons to develop teams and spend time investing in your people. To me, the arguments that come back quite often can be very binary. Again, it's like, well, we just don't have the money. And you have to get into the nuance. It's not worth the company to do that. And you have to get into the nuance of so I'm rambling a bit, but I mean, you see where I'm going. Do you think that so much of the misunderstandings and the arguments and the things that go on in trying to improve businesses, do we lose a lot of arguments because everybody's trying to run to one side of the ship or the other and have a contest rather than realize that the solution is probably a compromise?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was thinking about that yesterday. So being older, when I first, got into the workforce, it was very much a top-down structure of how decisions were made. Whether it was, product launches or just processes. It was the people who were above knew everything. And there was, even though the people who were in the trenches actually doing the work and experiencing the problems and the issues and things, they had a lot of good ideas. And there was no coming to that middle ground, as you said.
So just leadership would say this is the way it is, and then there was no even integration of the feedback.
Yeah. It's kind of that whole, this is the way we've always done it. Why would we change? Kind of mentality. So when I got into positions where I started doing project management, I was fortunate enough to have worked at a company where we would have morning roundtable discussions, and people would bring up problems they were having on projects. And instead of just you and the people underneath you trying to troubleshoot the problem, it was the entire group now. So you may have had 30 people now looking at the problem.
Very nice.
Just 2 or 3. And then at the end of the day, as a follow-up, same roundtable occurred, and people would just flat out ask, what solution did you choose?
What was the result?
Yeah, and how did it work out?
Yeah.
And so it was this group learning kind of thing, and the owner of the company would sit and listen to this stuff and realize that it's like, okay, his way probably wasn't, the only way to achieve, the goal.
Right.
So I was very fortunate to have worked for 15 years in that kind of an environment.
That's excellent.
And so it really changed how I move forward and how I, places that I've been after that, how I approach, management, how to, train the leaders, help them see that it's like there is benefit to this. It's like, you may have 30 years of experience doing one thing, but, the new kid that comes through the door, he may go, have you thought of this?
Yeah. Well, that reflects a commitment to solutions.
Yeah.
Which I think quite often, strangely enough, we don't have. But well, maybe not strange, because life's busy. You have a lot on your plate. I guess I understand that we want to shortcut things wherever we can.
Right.
And there are times where you can. I think you have to. But it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Habit. Yeah.
But so having seen how this works, when I go into a company, I try and, push this kind of thought process of that, you have all these people that you've hired for what they know. Why aren't you listening to what they know?
Yeah. Yes. Well, and that's interesting, because I'd been thinking about the fact that often entrepreneurs can be very good at hiring. They have a skill for identifying individuals. But that pivot then to actually trust the individuals you hired, it's a different skill.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's a different muscle. And that can be tough to make that pivot.
Yeah. Well, it's scary for them.
Yeah.
Because they go from having all the answers and being in control and having this great vision, and having to then hand it all to you and say, okay, I'm going to trust you to make this work.
Yes.
And, it's a very vulnerable place that they have to go to.
Fear drives a lot.
Yeah.
Fear drives a lot for humans in general. Okay, very unflattering comparison. But my son and I were talking along these lines, and talking about how business, especially corporations and all that, can be a lot like the mob, only without the loyalty.
Yeah. Yes.
I was looking at it and going, as you dig into it again, you get to know a little too much, maybe. And please, we know it's not. I know it's not all businesses, okay?
Yeah.
But there's a lot out there that there's a lot of this pushing of boundaries and cutting corners and not playing by the rules and all that goes on. Okay, we know that. But my understanding and my limited exposure to that world is that mob families, they tend to be very loyal, right? It's like if you're in, you're in. With our businesses these days, we don't even have that.
Right.
So it's like how easy it is to just go ahead and get cast aside. And the reason I was bringing that up in relation to what you said is because I think there can be a lack of, you hire these people, there can be, the fear can drive you, instead of listening to them, you're still going to listen to someone though.
Yeah.
Instead of having, and maybe it's too heavy to attribute that to loyalty, but because it's just the fear acting again. But instead of listening to those people, there's always other voices. And especially these days, loads of information.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so they go out and find someone else to listen to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, to speak to that, it's like the internet is, while it's a great tool, can be very harmful to your business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just some of the ideas that are being put out there. As you and I have talked about AI and integrating that into
here we go. New AI was going to have to come up these days.
I mean, we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
There's no way to skirt around it. I think people put way too much trust into it that it's giving them good information, and um, and then with that they put expectations on it, which then leads to a blind trust. It's like, oh well, it's AI. It's supposed to know how to do everything. It's like, well, it could make this cup. It's like, well, we know it can't. Okay, but yet we believe that it can, and it's when are we gonna? How much damage is going to occur before we realize, oh, yeah, we really need to rein in the use of this?
Well, there's got to be a reckoning with that, and I mean, some of the memes out there crack me up too, because the the AI giving you advice, some health advice, and it ends up killing you, and AI sitting there going, "Oh, you're right. That was the wrong answer.
Right.
Here, I'll adjust."
Right.
It's like, oh, a little late for that now. And it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where it all shakes out. AI is a great automation tool. It saves us from a lot of bulk data tasks.
Yeah.
Right. But as far as I hate the fact that it's called artificial intelligence, because the intelligence part these days really isn't there.
No. Well, and it's like I started asking it some marketing questions one day, and I was just baffled. I'm like, that's really just kind of glossy. It's like there was no depth to it. And I'm like, okay, so it is limited in what it can give you.
Now, one thing I did have to correct myself on that was the fact of realizing that, well, you can get better results if you pay.
True.
Too, right?
Yeah.
But that's the rub, because what it's supposed to be saving money, and a lot of companies are finding that, well, when you spend what you have to spend for enough tokens to do,
Right.
now you're back.
Yeah, you might as well put an actual body in the seat.
Correct.
Yeah.
Have some real intelligence there.
Yeah. Well, and I'm having come from the trades, I see what actually building something with your hands by a human being can achieve.
Yes.
And so I guess it's my mistrust of AI.
Yeah.
Well, comes through there.
A lot of us are in that boat.
Because I've just seen, I'm doing some design work right now, and I punched it into an AI.
Excuse me.
Sure. We'll both do it. I punched this, what I'm trying to build into this design tool, and it's like useless. I scrapped it and just started over doing it, the old fashioned way.
I'm trying not to choke.
No, it's fine. Natural coffee will help, but
yes. It's right on right on par for the show.
okay. But yeah, I think it's, as any tool, if you're using it, properly, it has a lot of potential to do good things. But I think when we put this, rely on it at certain levels, it's like, no.
Yeah. So, making decisions for us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I found probably the best use of it has been I need a letter of recommendation. It's like, okay, so I prompted a little bit, it spews out something, and then I end up doing probably 80% edits on it anyway.
Yeah.
So
gives you a framework.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I use it at this point. It's just, it gives me a framework to start from.
Yeah. No, that's good. Get you going. What about robotics then? Okay, and fused robot, because you're in the trades.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's take it into the physical world.
Okay. So it's interesting you bring that up. My son is working for a company right now where he's building the robots.
Oh, okay.
For a company that builds circuit boards. So I see it, some aspects of robotics as being, great time savers. You can unfortunately take away a job from a human being and have a machine do it.
Yeah.
Okay. At the same time, you're providing a job by multiple jobs. One, the guy building it, two, the guy programming it, and then the guy troubleshooting it and making sure that and doing quality control to make sure it's actually doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So in certain industries, I can see it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to see a robot wire your house or plumb your house, because I think, at least not in our lifetime.
Right.
Maybe, 200, 300 years from now, possibly. But at this point, there's just too many decisions that are made and, by a human in those scenarios. And I'm not saying that the trades are protected from it, but we'll probably be one of the last.
Right. So we're not going to see humanoid robots coming in. And...
Oh, I would be, what we know of AI right now,
Right.
I'd be seriously skeptical of a house that was wired by a robot.
The electrician's here, and it's you're an iRobot. Hello,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. But at the same time, we've, as technology's changing, we started out with 3D printers that were making, little
Mhm.
plastic trinkets for,
Right.
kids were like, oh, isn't that cool? Now, we're printing houses, we're printing rockets,
Yes.
No,
that's insane.
I mean,
That's
it's
just
like,
amazing.
where does it stop?
Yeah.
And as I circle the rabbit hole of diving into 3D printing, it's, I realize that there is a tremendous amount of potential from when it first came out to where we're at today with it.
Yes.
It's night and day difference in the products and the items that are being produced.
Well, a lot more varied what they're being made out of.
Correct.
Right. It's like that's what's blown me away is really you're able to use that kind of polymer in your what you're building.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so my son, while he was going to school, he had internships with a company in Northern Oregon, and they were like a process research company. So he was tasked for 3 years in a row to do 3D printing.
Mm.
And he was printing in stainless and titanium and aluminum, and it was just crazy the stuff that he was to get exposed to.
Yeah.
And just some of the process he was telling me, they were using lasers or actual, what he said was equivalent to like a MIG welder, just adding material to print something. But the lasers was the one that really intrigued me.
Mm.
Because they're taking titanium powder and they're melting it with a laser. I don't know if you know anything about titanium. When it's in a powdered form, it is highly explosive.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing
a little excitement in that process.
So they're doing this all in this inert space,
Okay.
inert gas, in order to be able to do it. And then once it's printed, it's not done yet. It's got to be annealed, which helps compact all those molecules together. So it's a tremendously interesting process. And the annealing, they're actually doing with plastics now in order to get them to have smoother finishes. It just, so it's just an interesting area. And again, they're just pushing the technology.
Mm.
There's companies and I hate to say it, in China that are making just 3D printers for printing plastic stuff as big as this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw one the other day that was printing boat hulls.
Yeah.
And so it's the print head moves.
Yeah.
And creates as it goes down. Yeah. And then there's your boat.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting as I started to delve into it. It was, there's this huge push for drones.
Mm.
Everybody's 3D printing drones now, it seems. And it's like, okay. So there's this, I know it's just a segment because I've looked into other areas, where they're printing stuff, and that's just, but yeah, there's this huge movement of just, let's 3D print a drone. And I'm like, okay, that could actually be kind of fun. But
yeah.
it could also get you into some trouble depending on the size that you do.
Well,
a
lot of stuff with all the tech these days can get you in trouble. That's
a
totally different subject, but
yeah.
just along the lines of getting in trouble, the discussion online about so much of the AI being able to generate over live video, different faces and things, so you can mimic someone else, impersonate someone else, and all these things. So that's a whole other discussion. But anyway, loads of ways that all the technological possibilities can get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's like anything. You use anything for the wrong purpose, you can trouble. You know, we've seen that. Well, you know,
it's tough though. I mean, that makes me almost ready to go Amish. You know, so you're ready to go off the grid and just unplug. Yeah. Because, and you're right. I love the good uses. Yeah. I love a lot of it. It's great, but it's like even the automations in your house and all that, all the data and lack of privacy, right? You know, it's like, and they get you. They get you though because it's so cool and so useful. And at some point you sell out your privacy to be able to tell your coffee pot to turn on, you know? It's like,
well, it's like I'm driving down the road and it keeps, my camera in my car keeps telling me it's recording traffic stops. And I'm like, no traffic stop. We're doing 60 miles an hour down the road, you know? So there are flaws in it, but at the same time, there's, you know, part of my working in the trades was I did home automations and integrations.
Yeah.
And so a lot of lighting controls and things like that. And as we become more and more reliant upon that stuff, you know, even back then, that was probably 15 years ago when I was first getting into that, I saw huge problems with it. So it's like, you know, at what point do we rely so much on the technology that all of a sudden when it breaks, we're like, well, now what do we do? You know?
I forgot how to turn on the light.
That's where, you know, I don't want to say we're old, but people are our age, you know, we remember life before the internet.
Yes.
And I'm always humored by when I hear younger folks, you know, in their 20s, it's like, well, this doesn't work. What do I do? And I'm like, get out a piece of paper.
It reminds me of Marvel movie in the Avengers.
Yeah.
You remember Nick Fury? They're on the bridge and everything's broken, and he says to turn us whatever direction west. He's like, I'm not sure what direction that is. Is the sun up?
Point us to that.
That's right. You know, it's like you've forgotten how to do the basics. This isn't good. But that's where we're at. Yeah. No, that's true. My wife doesn't like the automation. She's very much against a lot of it. And she's ready to just go back to take out all the automated bulbs, take out all the. I don't mind turning on a lamp. Yeah. And I know she has a point, because when you get what do? We pay money to go on vacation somewhere that doesn't have that stuff. Right. So we can get away, and you go, oh, this is so nice and relaxing.
Right.
And the question that's always bugging me in the back of my mind is, then why don't you order your life a little differently? Yeah. A little more in line with that. And I know it's because of some of the conveniences.
Well, I mean, so when I was doing the home automation stuff, I had a whole system I was getting ready to install in my house. And then one day this light bulb went on after doing a service call to fix a keypad that had gone bad in the customer's home. And I saw the bill that I wrote up for them, and I realized, I don't want this in my house. Give me that $1.25 switch every day.
Yes.
Like so it caused me to rethink, you know, how much of that I put in my home.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, because how much of that type of thing and that type of thinking is why life is so expensive for us.
Yeah.
Because you look at it and you go, what we consider to be our basic lives do seem a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Now for young people, but I look and I realize, well, when we were young, we didn't have this, and we didn't have that, we didn't have this.
Right.
Yeah. Whether it's smartphones or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think back to, it was exciting when the new phone book would come.
Oh, really telling your age now.
Yeah. You know, I just remember as a kid, it's like, oh, the phone book came. Or even farther back, the JCPenney catalog.
Oh my gosh. Yes, the catalogs. The Christmas catalog?
Yeah.
JCPenney Christmas catalog.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, as a kid, that was like Mom, look at it. Okay, you done? Okay, it'll be in my room.
Yes.
Because you're just looking at all the cool, it's like, ooh, I could get a go-kart. Oh,
Yes.
I could get, just all the different stuff. And yeah, now you just pick up your phone and it's all right there. And I was actually thinking back in the time when my wife and I first got married, we bought 166 megahertz DC. And it was the fastest one you could buy at the time.
Screaming.
And we paid $3,700 for it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now it's like my phone has 10 times the power of that.
And what do we do with it? That's the other side of that to me. No, we do a lot of impressive stuff too. Okay.
We played Oregon Trail.
But yeah. Well, that's true. Back then too. Yeah, that's right. No, I remember talking my folks into our first computer.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they got one. And but yeah, then what did I do with it? I played games.
Right. Yeah. No. And my dad was a TV repairman, worked in electronics repair. He brings home the Atari. I can't remember what version it was, but it was like, it's a new computer, so you can do your schoolwork. And man, with the big 5 1/4 floppies that were huge.
Oh yeah.
You keep shoving them in. It's like, I'm loading a new program.
Yes.
I'm on disc 10.
Yes. Disc swapping. Oh man. Yeah, that's unlocking a whole bunch of memories.
Yeah. So it's like as technology changes, it's like we grow accustomed to it. And now when our internet goes down, what do? I mean, just last night I get home from visiting some friends and my internet's down and I had to reset the modem. And I'm just like, this is messed up. Shouldn't do this. Just like,
life grinds to a halt.
Right. And then the announcement goes out throughout the house. The internet's down. I'm working on it. It's like, but yeah, it's just as we have grown older, just everything that now we just take for granted.
Yeah. We do. Yeah. And it's strange that it's what we wanted. And growing up with technology and being interested in it, so much of it is what we dreamed about, right? You wanted to get there, and then you get there and you realize maybe it was cool for a hobby.
Yeah. Maybe
not so much that it's integrated into our lives the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you look at what it's done for, bringing it back to the business thing. It's, how many changes, how much more convenient have things become.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went through school, I had to learn how to do everything with a hand ledger. Okay. We all know minimum the fastest way to do that is with an Excel sheet.
Right.
Let alone using a piece of software that was specifically designed for that.
Yes.
So, I mean, I remember doing inventory by hand on a piece of paper. And
Yes.
it was like, oh my gosh, it's like, and then when all of a sudden it's like, hey, we stepped up, we integrated with a computer. Now all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is faster.
Yeah, no, good. That's a good point. And you're right. I guess speaking to myself, it is easy to forget.
Yeah.
That, what would it be like really?
Yeah.
If you didn't have all that. But in true human fashion, maybe the problem is just we overshoot the mark. It's like we see something that's good and useful, and instead of just going, okay, and here's the sweet spot, we just go, well, if a little bit's useful.
Right.
We got to put it everywhere, you know?
Yeah. AI.
Yeah.
It's like sorry, Brad, I'm going to rag on you.
Oh, no.
I'm asking for Excel software for my staff. And I get told by Brad, I need a business case written up for that.
That's right.
It's just like, oh, Brad, it's like, I know why, but you're killing me.
Tell me why. Think it through, Ken. Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I could do a whole show on Excel, so don't get me going.
Yeah. No, it's just the whole thing of it. It's like, where do we, when we want to implement something, it's like, is it actually useful?
Yes.
Will we actually, will it pay for itself?
Wait, I need to cover myself here, guys. Just for the record, it was that, is there alternate software or alternate spreadsheet that we could use, because we weren't in a Microsoft environment. I want to make that clear. I know that there's uses for Excel.
And I took an entire day and rewrote the sheets, and they didn't work.
Yeah.
So,
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that about
no, and I knew you could.
you. Yes.
So it was just funny because I'm just shaking my head, laughing, just going, Brad, killing me. So, but it was good though. It made me stop and actually, see if I could actually make it work because
Yeah.
my previous attempts had not.
Well,
So
and
it caused me to slow down.
well, and that was such a help actually. That type when those types of scenarios play out, and believe me, I understand. I get to be the thorn in the side.
Yeah.
When I would do stuff like that, but when you have someone that's willing to actually go through the process and prove things out, it answers questions for me that I can't answer.
Yeah.
And lets me know for sure
Yeah.
that okay, yes, here are the actual use cases. Because there are other cases where it's people just wanting to do what's a shortcut,
Right.
most familiar, maybe not best.
Right.
So in a case where it proves out that it is the best way to move forward,
Yeah.
so helpful.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so good for businesses to have those discussions and arguments,
Right.
right? And go through it and get to the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember in your last gig, you asked me what I knew about Procore,
Mm-hmm.
project management software, and I'd actually had quite a bit of exposure to it. And it comes down to, is everybody on the same page? Is everybody using it as it should be used? That's the biggest problem
Right.
I find. And so when people come to me and they say, oh, we're thinking about Procore, it's like, I'm always, yes, it's a great program, but
Are you committed?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, you can't be half-hearted. You can't have one person on board 100%, another one 50, another one 75. It's like none of the information will mesh properly. And then you get a lot of really frustrated users.
Yes.
And eventually you get at the end of it, your customers,
Yes. Yeah. Now that's an awesome segue though, because right, if you can get everyone in a business all equally committed to whatever platform, whatever solution, whatever process you're implementing, you win.
True.
That's always the trick, right?
Yeah.
So what's the big obstacle that we always run into in departments with, how is it? Is there just not adequate, whether it's leadership or like with software, IT, is it just not an adequate selling and telling of here's what we want to do and here's the why. Here's how it benefits the business so that everybody adequately understands. Is that what isn't happening adequately?
I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Every time I've seen an issue come up, it's because somebody didn't understand.
Mm.
They didn't, and when you want to be just really rude and make it short, it's like, you're going to do this because if you don't, it affects your paycheck. Okay, well, that's the cop out,
Right.
But actually taking the time and helping someone understand why a process is set up the way it is, why we're using a piece of software, what gains it gives us.
Yeah.
And it goes both directions. It goes down to the end user who's actually having to input the data all the way up, to the C-suite. It's like they need to understand, at least on a surface, thinking of the C-suite, how the process runs and how it benefits them in the end. Okay. They don't need to know every single little step in a process.
Right.
But they need to know that, there is a process in place and it is working. But getting the buy-in from the people who, I call them the end user, the one that's inputting the information. If you get them to buy in and they understand and they can make the connection of, if I put this piece of information in and it affects all these other departments, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, so it is important I get that right.
Yeah. Is it always, does that light bulb go on for everyone though? Because I do wonder, is it, because if it's going to take more work for them, but it's going to benefit all these other departments.
Okay. And
right.
That's where, unfortunately, I've done the cop out move and just say,
yeah,
you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
But I find that most people, they may, I've been told it's like,